Okay, so today we're going to talk about the quadratic formula. You probably did this last year. Yes, I understand. So the quadratic formula is going to look like this. It's going to be x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, yes, it will be given to you. You don't have to have it memorized. It is a good idea, though, to memorize it because it does make you faster. Okay? Okay, so on this first problem, we see that it's in standard form, and we want to identify our A, B, and C terms. Okay, so what's our A term in this? Don't say x squared. Nope. 1. What's our B term? And what's our C term? Positive 15. Okay, we need to identify your A, B, and C. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to plug in. Okay, so we're going to say, and you do already have this on your paper, but I just want to show you just in case. You have negative 8 plus or minus the square root of negative 8 squared minus 4 times 1 times 15 all over 2 times 1. Okay. All I've done was I took each one of these little variables and I plugged in that number in place. That's all I've done. Okay. For my visual people, here are some colors. So B, 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 A, 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 A. C. Okay, so do we see where those numbers are coming from? The 2 on the bottom is always going to be there, and that negative 4 is always going to be there. Everything else will vary from problem to problem. Now, our next job is to simplify. We're going to simplify the outside, the inside, and the bottom. We're going to simplify the outside, inside, and the bottom. So there's 2 negatives right here. What does that make that? A positive 8. I'm going to write this over here so the people in the back can actually see this. I know this is all over the page. So positive 8 plus or minus. I need you to take your yellow calculator that should be out in front of you. If you don't have one, there's a couple other over there. I need you to type everything that's underneath this radical, but don't type the radical. Just type the numbers exactly how you see them with the parentheses. Okay? Take a second, do that, and tell me what number you get. So that would give me 3. My answers are 5 and 3. So again, you're doing 2 separate equations here. 8 plus 2 divided by 2. 8 minus 2 divided by 2. On this one, what's my A? 1. What's my B? C. Okay, I'm going to plug in. So anywhere that I see a B, I'm going to write 10. Anywhere that I see an A, I'm going to write 1. Anywhere C, 18. So negative 10 plus or minus the square root of 10 squared minus 4 times 1 times 18 all over 2 times 1. Now, we're going to simplify. Is the outside already simplified? Yes. So we're just going to bring that guy down. On the inside, if I plug all that junk into my calculator, what do I get? 28. And then we're going to divide it by 2 times 1, which is 2. The whole thing with the radical, it might give you a simplified version. However, remember, on your final exam, you can't use Desmos, or I'm sorry, you can't use the handheld calculators. So you have to know how to do it by hand. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. Do you remember back in unit 3 where we said take square root of 28 and simplify it? What did we do? We divided by 2. And then we divided by 2 again. And then we said, hey, if you got a pair, you can pull it out and you're left over with whatever's at the end of the tree, right? So that comes back into play here. So we're going to have -10 plus 2 square root of 7 divided by 2. Look at everything on the outside, though. Can you divide that by something? 2. What's -10 divided by 2? And 2 divided by 2 is just 1. And then on the bottom, 2 divided by 2 is just 1. The first thing that you have to do is write this in standard form. So it's going to be 9x squared minus 6x plus 1. So you got to put this in standard form. Try this one. All right, so checking your work and then going ahead and starting on number 4. Let's talk through it. Is it in standard form? Yes. Okay, so what's my a value? 2. How do we know that? Because it's connected to that x squared, right? Okay, I'm sorry. What's b? 6, because why? It's connected to the x term. Okay, what about c? What's that? Okay, so now that we've identified your a, b, and c, let's go ahead and plug in. That's going to be -6 plus or minus the square root of 6 squared. With me so far? Okay, minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is 5. Okay, I'll show you in a second. All over 2a. The way that I simplify is I say, all right, I'm going to simplify the outside, the inside, the bottom. Okay, so can I simplify anything on the outside? No, it's just going to be -6. On the inside, what you're going to type is everything that's underneath this radical, just like this. Okay, so everything that's in that red line. So type that into your calculator and you're going to get error. It's going to say like domain, something, something. Okay. The reason why is because if you actually simplify this by hand, you would get -4. And on the bottom, we would get +4. What do we know about taking square roots of negative numbers? You can't. What does that give us? No solution. So if it's a, you're going to identify your A, B, and C. And you're going to plug in. So that's going to give me -6 plus or minus the square root of -6 squared minus 4 times 3 times -1. All over 2 times 3. Now, we're going to simplify. So what's on the outside is going to be 6. On the inside, you should have gotten the square root of 48. And down at the bottom, we would get +6. Now, do you remember back to unit 3, where if we have this square root of 48, we got to simplify. So 48 divided by 2, divided by 2, divided by 2, and divide by 2. Now, if we have pairs, we're going to pull those out. So that means that we're going to have 6 plus 4 square root of 3. The way I got 4 was this 2 and this 2. Did it simplify it for you? Yeah. So how did I get 48? I took negative, a lot of us are typing in the wrong thing. We got -6 squared minus 4 times 3 times -1. All those parentheses have to be typed into your calculator in order to get it right. Okay, so now everything on the outside is divisible by 2. And so that's going to give me 3 plus or minus 2 square root of 3 divided by 3. Okay, here's what I need you to do. I need you to be able to get to here at least. So if you got to there, you did a pretty good job. So you should have said what A, B, and C is. A was 2, B was 5, and C was -12. Now we're going to plug in, okay? So we're going to get -5 plus or minus the square root of 5 squared minus 4 times 2 times -12. All over 2 times 2. So now we're going to simplify. So we have -5 plus or minus the square root of 5 squared, which is 25, minus 8. I'm sorry, minus 4 times 2, which is 8. 8 times -12. You got 121 underneath here, right? Okay. Over 4. It'd be -8 times -12 will be positive. Okay, so now we're going to simplify. So this is going to give me, I don't know when. So this is going to give me 11 over here. This will give me 4 right here. What's -5 plus 11? -5 plus 11. It's, nope, -5 plus 11. 6. And 6 divided by 4 is what? 3 halves. Okay. Now, if we take -5 minus 11, that's going to give me -16. -16 divided by 4 is -4. These are my two solutions. What you're going to do is make sure it's in standard form. You're going to take your b value divided by 2 and square it. So what's b? What's 2 divided by 2? And 1 squared is 1. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite what I just had, but I'm going to add 1 and subtract 1, and then subtract that -3. You're going to put parentheses around those first 3 terms. Okay? You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah. You understand? Okay. Now you're going to factor. And so this is going to be x plus 1 squared. And then -1 minus 3. So -1 minus. So looking at this, we got x plus 1 squared minus 4. The vertex on here, the vertex is -1, -4. Okay, you are going to make sure that you have it in standard form. Okay, you're going to take b divided by 2, square it. But before you do that, since a is bigger than 1, that does change things a little bit. Can I take a and divide it by everything in here? Yes. So what is 4x squared divided by 4? And then 8x divided by 4 is what? And then 4 divided by 4 is what? Okay, so what I did was, because a was bigger than 1, I had to divide it all the way through. Now I'm going to take b divided by 2, square it, and add and subtract it. So what's b? Take 2 divided by 2, and then square it. So this is going to give me x squared plus 2x plus 1 minus 1 plus 1. And you remember that 4 that we had at the beginning that we divided by? We're going to leave him out front. Why do we keep the what? Sorry, I put too many parentheses. Why do we keep the 2x? Because we're factoring this mess down at the bottom. So for instance, this I'm going to factor, and this is going to give me 4 times x plus 1 squared. When I take -1 plus 1, that's going to give me 0. How do you keep getting what? Subtracting part is a little confusing. The reason why we're adding and subtracting is because if we just added, our equation changes. But since we have a +1 and a -1, that could cancel out and doesn't change our equation. Okay? No. Yeah, I know. This one's a little tricky. So go ahead and go to your second packet. Well, first, on Ebony's work, this is where she added and subtracted that 16. Where she got 16 was b divided by 2, and then squaring. Okay, she wrote this out in vertex form. Vertex form allows us to identify the vertex like easily. The vertex is -4, 5 from this equation. Okay, now down in the next one, let's try it. We're going to divide by b divided by 2. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. 5 squared is 25. So we're going to have x squared plus 10x plus 25 minus 25 and then minus 3. Yeah. Where did what? Go back up here. Ebony's work to go from here to here. So she factored this. So she said 1 times 16 is 16, b is 8. What two numbers will make that happen? And x plus 4 times x plus 4 is the same thing as x plus 4 squared. X plus 4 times x plus 4 is the same thing as x plus 4 squared. Yeah. Okay. So now down here, what we're going to do is we're going to factor. And so it's going to give me x plus 5 squared. -25 minus 3 is -28. Okay. Checking your work. All right. So we're going to take b divided by 2 and then square it. So that should be 36. And then, so that's going to give me x squared minus 12x plus 36 minus 36 plus 40. Yeah? Okay, now I'm going to factor this. That's going to give me x minus 6 squared. -36 plus 40 is, what's the vertex? This is going to be +6 and 4. We always do the opposite sign of the x value. Okay,